Well, hello everyone. Happy Spooky Thursday. Today we're on a Thursday actually. We're trying out some new times, and we'll see how it goes. So, hi Brianna, how are you today?
Scott, I'm good. I'm drinking my pumpkin latte. I'm surrounded by pumpkins. Life is good.
Yeah,
How
life
are
is
you?
good. I'm great. I'm doing good. And you've got pumpkin colors on, fall colors matching the fall and the Halloween colors. So, good job.
I can't get enough of it this year. I'm all about Halloween this year. We have
Good. Well,
some,
you got the little ones, so that's going to be fun taking them out, right?
yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I
And
remember those
yeah, no,
days.
it's been a good week. I was looking at the over the market today, or over this last week, and we have this like mini little pump going.
We do.
And I haven't been looking or watching the market for quite some time now. I just haven't been paying attention. And when I saw that, it just made me feel these feelings again I haven't felt for so long. And I'll
Wow.
be honest, I was experiencing some FOMO there for a minute. And and really it just brought me back. I started to think about where I was back in the spring and before, right after the Terra Luna crash, and how I was prepping myself and giving myself pep talks as how I was going to survive the bear market. And this kind of has just lasted and lasted. We're all kind of just hanging tight while the market's been just going down and sideways. But I'm starting to feel I'm questioning now, and I don't know if you're up for a market prediction, if you have anything in mind of what you think is going to happen. But I'm starting to feel a little bit momentum. So I don't know. I just, as investors, as you know, like you reach these milestones within your investment journey where you are kind of you're looking at yourself in hindsight and seeing how far you've come and understanding the market. And we go through these cycles now. I think you're kind of, I can't remember when you started, Scott, but I think it was somewhat close to when I did. So we've seen these,
Yeah.
we've gone through the bull run, we've gone through the bear markets, and I started to kind of bring in these different voices in my head. I remember BitBoy Crypto, the beginning of the year, I was listening to him and he was saying that crypto goes in 4-year cycles, and that's all you really need to pay attention to. So if we're going through 4-year cycles, we'll likely at some point start to see an upward trend, and then 2025 would be close to the end of a bull run. So I feel excited about that. And then
Yeah.
next, I also, and sorry, I'm on my little rant already, but
Go
I
for it.
also was starting to think a little bit about how that statement that was made right after the crash, just to lift spirits, and a lot of people were talking about it. I know I was, that millionaires are made in the bear markets. And so I've been asking myself, when I started to see that the market go up a little bit and maintain, what am I going to do differently this time? Am I prepared? And what have I learned over this year and over the last year and a half that I'm going to implement, within this next run, to make sure that I'm making some profits this time. And so, yeah, that's what's been going in my head this week. What have you been thinking about over the week?
Yeah, just it was nice to see it, but I really haven't been affected by the bear market because I play in DeFi, and the bear market in actuality isn't that big of a deal right now if you're playing in DeFi, because you can still earn good interest rates, and that's what buoys me. That's what gets me excited, is when I can earn an interest rate, not if a coin is up or down. And I really, it's interesting because I feel like I'm a little bit in the minority with the overall crypto market. I mean, people are still really hyped about coins and whether they go up or down, and I'm just not. And I'm really glad, actually, because and there'll be other things in the DeFi market that can take me out or take it out. And if the stable coins crash again, that's a major part of investing in DeFi. But I don't really worry about Bitcoin and the general market, because I'm not investing in altcoins, and I don't plan to anytime soon. So I really am. I'm kind of boring in that respect. Although I kind of like just being steady, and that's what I go for. So whether the market's up or down, I really don't pay that much attention. And I'm going to show today. I'm actually going to unveil my metaverse because I'm now the proud owner of my very own metaverse called Hero Land Metaverse. I'm gonna show it off a little bit today, and it's really boring now today. But I just bought the land last week, or when was it? This weekend, and it was quite an interesting experience. But and I'll go into that a bit. But okay, well, let's do this. I'm gonna talk about what we're gonna talk about today in a little bit. So we're gonna talk about a bunch of different things again, as we do. But we're going to touch a little bit on Binance. Sounds like they have a training program for law enforcement officials, which I think will be really fun. Yeah, well, we're going to look quickly. I'll look quickly at the economic numbers, a little bit about the crypto numbers, and then I'm gonna talk about my metaverse. I'm hopefully going to be able to show it a little bit. And then if I have time, I've got some. I want to talk a little bit about the mango market again. This will be the third week in a row that I've talked about the mango market hack, and again, it has a little bit more news. And then we'll just see what we go from there. But so let's dive in, Brianna. Let's go ahead and talk about your article today. And there you are. And let's see if you need to share.
Okay, can you see my screen? Let me know when you can.
Yep, we're good to go.
Okay, and mine are pretty short and quick today. I have to remind myself, because I dive so deep into regulations, and I'm getting really worried that I'm not being as strong through the bear market as I would like to be. So I have to remind myself, this is Kathy Wood, and she's the founder and CEO of ARK Investment Management. And it's just interesting because she bought 100,000 worth of Bitcoin years ago when the price of Bitcoin was at 250, and she's never sold it. And so I like to look at this and be inspired as to where there's opportunity now, because she appeared on Peter McCormick's What Bitcoin Did podcast. And what she said is that she purchased $100,000 worth of Bitcoin, and when it was trading around 250, which would suggest sometime in 2015. And she said she hasn't sold any of that initial investment, meaning her current profit on that 100,000 bet would be around 7.6 million. And I just wanted to share that tidbit because we have, and I looked up the number, I Googled it today. So there's an estimated 4.2% of the global population currently invested in crypto. So even adding just 1 more% to that, we're seeing the adoption rate. I mean, left and right, everywhere we look, there are more institutions coming in. There's so many more people adopting it, so many more countries adopting it, that it's inspiring to me. I needed some uplifting stuff and be able to see that, and it's funny that you point out too, Scott, that where you are and how you've played it, you're kind of sitting steady where you can dive into other areas and realms, and just it doesn't really matter what the market does. That's a big goal. And if you do it right and with strategy, then that's a good position to be in. And unfortunately, that's where I went wrong. So I'm not able to play around in DeFi. I'm not able to be around in these things because now I'm hodling investments that I didn't have stop losses in, that now I'm just kind of stuck waiting for the market to go back up and then dollar cost averaging. So I'm kind of back in, and it gives you that perception wherever you're at with that type of thing. It does, because I'm kind of back to square one, and where I am back in coins again. That's where I'm looking into. I'm not going so much into DeFi or doing much with anything else, NFTs, metaverse, because I'm kind of back to square one. I didn't play my cards right the first time. So a lot of learning lessons there.
Yeah. No, that's really interesting. Yeah, that's interesting because, again, I think that's why it's good to have multiple perspectives on this, and that, like, on our show, because we both have kind of different perspectives, and you don't know what you don't know, and so when you're first getting into it, and I'll tell you, that's how we all learn about crypto. I would dare to say that unless maybe you're a gamer, if the way you come into crypto is from investing in coins and hoping that one's going to shoot to the moon, and we heard, especially people, if you got in with the last couple of years, you've heard of so many people like Kathy Wood, who got in 2015 when Bitcoin was 250 or whatever, right? And then they rode it up to 60 and we're feeling high. We see all that and we're like, oh, we want that, and so, and I was too. I was too, but I really felt that I was so new to this when I jumped in originally and bought my first Bitcoin. And I bought it at, mid-market. I mean, it was over 20,000, when I first bought in to Bitcoin. But it was still a very small amount, And I looked at it all as like testing ground. Like, okay, I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm not going to put a lot of money in here. I didn't have a lot of money to put into it, so I would put in a little bit, here and there. And even though it did get up to 60, I was still buying some. So I was like, oh, okay, I'm buying it 40, 50, 60 or whatever. Just little amounts, right? $100 here and there. And knowing that this little $100 that I'm going to invest in Bitcoin wasn't going to make me millions anyways, I never had that mindset. I never had that, ooh, I'm going to be rich, or it went up, Bitcoin went up $10,000, dollars, whatever. Ooh, I'm rich, because I only had tiny bits in there. And so it just was an interesting perspective. So I never really got that sort of glee or FOMO, or sort of, for me, it was just like, okay, I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm testing this or whatever. And then as the market went down, then I sort of really started to understand more about it and feel confident about it. And at that point, I'm like, okay, this is good, because while it's down, I can really learn and I can really test and not really care at all. Because when it is 60, up there, then it's like everything's crazy. People are crazy. The projects are crazy. New things are popping up. Everybody and their brother, wants to get in, and there's going to be a new protocol and this, that, and everything, and your head is spinning. So now, for programmers, they say now's the time to build, and I think for investors, now's the time to learn. And so that's when I really took on DeFi. I'm like, okay, I need to really understand this DeFi thing, and I'd lost money in Terra Luna. And I think that's when I'm like, okay, I really got to look at what's behind this. What's behind a stablecoin? And as I did that, I realized, wow, all this DeFi. And I'm like, what is this really? And I started to really spend time in there, again, with really little amounts of money. And I'm still really, I would say I've actually bumped it up. I actually took 5,000 that I kind of pulled from some other area, and I'm putting this in strategically into these yield farming farms. And I'm going to see what I can do with this 5,000 as I put it in different farms and maneuver. It's probably the most I've done. Before it was just a couple $100 here and there, in different places. So we'll see. But yeah, I think it's just an interesting perspective. And So from what Kathy Wood's doing, I don't know if she'll sell. What I was going to ask you is do you now have, like you said, something was interesting. Let me pop back on here, get us both on here. Um, you said something interesting about you didn't have stop losses in. Oh, I've got your screen shared. Hold on.
It's okay. I can, here, I'll stop it.
Oh,
There.
okay. You're still not. Come back. Where'd you go? There we go. So you didn't put stop losses in. Explain to our audience uh, what that really means and what you didn't know going in and what you know now and would do different.
Okay, stop losses, game changer. Even knowing that that was a thing. And what stop losses allow you to do is you are able to plan ahead when you put in your investment. You are able to say, okay, I'm willing to risk 1%, 3% on this investment. And you can put in that order for when the market hits that price. So if the market dips down to that price, then it sells you out of it and goes back into your wallet, and you are no longer invested in that, and it takes you out so that you don't dip any lower if the market is to go down further than you're wanting it to. And you can do that with sell orders that are above as well. So you can really fine tune it as to when you want these sell orders to come out. And this is something I had no idea about for about a year. And I don't think I never really sold anything when I first started investing. I just hodled along, and then a little bit from time to time, I would have some shorter trades that I would do well on, and I would pull it out, or I would see something that was going down and down, and then I would pull it out. Just really inexperienced. I don't recommend doing that. Or I'm not. This is an investment advice. I'm talking to myself. But so stop losses, something that we focused on within the course that we both took together, Scott, through London Reels Academy. And this is something that is really, it's very highly encouraged, recommended, nearly required for every trade. And what it does is it protects you from the market crashing. Like what we saw with Terra Luna, that happened very quick. That wasn't something that many people can protect themselves against. And we've just been here since, kind of. But had I had my stop losses in place, I would have been able to have that stopped out amount to whatever I decided was a good enough amount. And then I would be now in a better position to invest at a lower price than where I had been at from the beginning with those investments. So I'd be able to take advantage of the market where it is today during this bear market. But instead, I didn't have my stop losses in place. So I've had to ride the market all the way down. And now I don't get to play around because I haven't realized my losses. So I haven't pulled anything out. I'm in coins that are not, that I expect and greatly assume that they will work their way back up. I'm not in anything sketchy that I don't believe in. But I have to just wait it out. And that happens on the opposite end. If we were in a bull run, and you point this out a lot, Scott, and I kind of reiterate it, that if we hit 60 again with Bitcoin, or when that happens, if we don't take those gains, we don't take those wins, we've never won them. We've never earned them. You're just going to keep riding the market until you take it out. So there's strategy to it if you want to trade and invest wisely. And since I started personally with zero education and knowledge behind it, I had to break down a lot of the ways that I had been doing it in the past. Once we began to learn that there are wise ways to do this and strategic ways. And there are reasons why there are people who have been so successful. I mean, some people are just lucky, but there is a strategy to it as well. And I'm ready to implement these now because I finally learned for my very last time I've been stubborn. I was stubborn against stop losses, but I have it ingrained in me now. I will be implementing those in the future. And I'm going to have more of a plan, kind of what I'm, with my investments. What am I going to pull it out at, or how much am I going to pull out? If it hits certain prices, and not just going in blindly. But like you said, you don't know what you need to know if you don't have that education behind it. So yeah, courses are a lifesaver. Stop losses are a lifesaver. Really understanding what we're doing before we're doing it. And being better prepared so that we can take some of those gains and not have a whole year go by or a whole bull run go by where you're like, man, I didn't even make anything off of that. You might still be sitting even or still be okay, but I could be playing around like you right now in DeFi, Scott, and building a metaverse.
Yeah,
And instead I'm sitting here like just
I know.
waiting and fast averaging. So
And that is really interesting, because we talk about stablecoins a lot. And so your strategy, could have been to have stop losses and then put that into stablecoin, and so then you would have been sitting there and you would have had, assets to play with in DeFi or wherever. And to be honest, I didn't either. But I had such limited amount in there that it really didn't bother me that it went down. And yeah, it's down. I've had to, it would have been really even nice if I'd have done that too, and I didn't. So it's like I didn't have a strategy either. So what you haven't said is, and I don't know, kind of putting you on the spot here, but do you have any ideas of where you might put in? You talked a lot about stop losses. You talked about taking profit, but again, you can put in these sell orders, I think limit orders, right, at different levels going up. So I don't know what you've thought about, but I've sort of thought and I haven't done this yet, and hopefully I'll take my own advice, and that is, maybe putting something in there around 40, 50, and maybe 60. So again, putting sell orders in. So again, this is a little bit different strategy, right? Because I know that you're a big stealth storage. You either have it in your hot wallet or a cold wallet. But to do the strategy, and again, to do the stop loss strategy and the sell strategy, you've got to have your assets on an exchange, right? So that's going to be a whole different strategy for you, right? Because that means that you don't put it into a hot wallet or you leave it on the exchange. And so I've got stuff all over the place. And so I would have to kind of, and I have moved most of my Bitcoin off of Coinbase. I'd have to put it back on there. And then I would have you put those orders in that when it hits 50, sell, right? Or sell some of it. So that wouldn't be my strategy, is that, maybe 50, maybe 60, and then I'm going to sell half of, let's say, my Bitcoin. And then I'll still have half in that to ride the market up again. And I also dollar cost average, so I'll always be putting some in there, whatever. And at that point, I'm buying at 60, but I've been buying it, 19 to 20,000, right? So that's what dollar cost averaging is. You average into it. So yeah, what do you think about that?
yeah, putting a sell, it's going to be a lot more difficult for me to put a sell order in than a stop loss when it's in the money, because I guess I get greedy. I don't know. I have wishful thinking. I don't want it to stop going up, and I don't have.
That was a really honest comment. It was really honest of you to say that, because that's what everybody is. That's just so human nature. But a lot of people just don't say it. And you're like, oh, it's going to be hard, man. I'm greedy. But it's honest. It's true. It's all of us.
Yeah, and to be honest, I don't have a full strategy as to when I want to take it, because for me, like you, I can look at that. Okay, 60 for Bitcoin. And then, I'm like, of course it's going to hit that, but along the way, let's say it goes up to 45, and then it goes all the way back down, and then you're still riding this wave, then you're not taking any profits. Then that doesn't, I strongly believe that we will get back to 60 and beyond. So I guess it's that kind of, how long are we willing to wait for it to hit those? Do we want to take profits? And it's going to be hard. It's going to take time. I got to really get a plan in place before and I don't. And that will depend on what coins I'm invested in. I'm not going to go too far into altcoins, but there are a couple that I would like to get into. And so those ones will probably just sit on my central exchange because they won't be a lot. They'll be a small amount of my portfolio. And I'll mess around and trade more with those versus those investments that are longer term, like Bitcoin and Ethereum, that kind of stick around and stay for a while.
Well, that's
I
the
do
that's the
feel like,
thing.
oh, go
I
ahead.
I think well, I that's the thing about it. I kind of look at this. Look at it this way: Bitcoin and Ethereum, the two biggest ones. I really look at those as long term. They're going to be around, and I expect them to go up. And really, at this point, I wouldn't be surprised if Ethereum takes over Bitcoin in market cap. I really wouldn't. So to me, now I dollar cost average the same amount into both of them. I kind of look at them, the same. So those are going to be long term investments, long term thinking, right? But you still want. Well, I'm thinking I still want to take some profit on those. So that's why I'm saying for those, as they move up, I'm gonna have to put a strategy in there. And I'm thinking, for me, it's kind of like 60, and I don't know for ETH. I haven't really thought about it, but let's say maybe 4,000, which is where it was. Maybe 5,000 or something like that. Maybe take some profit there. And again, but just a little bit, just just because we don't know, and they're probably going to drop again. We don't know, but they probably will, right? And it seems to me that that's what this market is. This is a very volatile market. So you've got these really, it's like in the stock market, you might have like GM and I don't know Coca-Cola or whatever, right? And they don't move up and down that much. Even when the stock market crashes, or whatever, they don't move up and down that much. This market's totally different. I mean, in like as the stock market moved down, we thought that crypto might move down even further, that Bitcoin might drop down even, down into 13 or 10 or something like that, right? But it's sort of stabled out. And there's a lot of talk out there, and I believe it, that, at this 20,000 range, and it's, 19, 20 to 21 or whatever, I kind of think that that's where we're going to be for a while. We're going to just crawl in here for maybe a year or more, frankly. That's my opinion on what I read. But okay, so if and when it starts to go back up, I want to take a little bit of profit. Okay, now you've got the altcoins, and now, like you said, you're probably gonna have maybe less invested in these altcoins, and now you're really kind of playing the market the way I kind of see that at that point. And in my opinion, at that point, I've either got two ways I can go. I can either play the market and trade it on the volatility, because maybe it'll shoot up on some news, 60, 70, 100%. And so the question is, do I take some profit on that altcoin because I've got some good profit now. I could take that. Again, I don't have anything until I sell it. So I want to take that profit. Or do I think it's the next big layer one, if it's say a Cardano or a Solana, right? And I'm thinking it might take over Ethereum. I don't think that, but in that case, then I want to hold it for the next 5 years, and I never want to sell any of that because I want that. I am expecting that to beat out, and in 5 years, win the battle and really be way up there, and to the point where I could be in that 1,000% range, having increased my investment because I held it. So, of those two things, have you thought about that? And when you look at altcoins, is that the way you look at it or not?
Okay, so yeah, I agree with you. I don't think that anything's going to catch Ethereum. And I think there's a great chance that Ethereum will surpass Bitcoin eventually. But so altcoins, I think one thing that stuck with me is I sat through one of Tika Tawari. He did a live call about a month ago. It was his first one for a long time that he did. And he let out these royalty coins, is what he calls them. They're royalty coins, they're altcoins. And I've had great success with Tika in the past. And he's just somebody that I can look up to and feel like he knows what he's talking about. To an extent, nobody knows fully, but the research behind what his team does is, and why they call these ones royalty coins, are that these institutions that are coming in are not only coming into Bitcoin, they're not only coming into Ethereum and some of these other bigger coins, but there's altcoins as well that they will be getting into. And so that's part of what his group takes into account as to what altcoins these big institutions will be getting into. And so I did take one of the ones that he announced in his call. And then, of course, you have to become a part of the group to hear the next four. And I'm not a part of his group. I'm not a member. So GRT, that's an altcoin, and that was one. And it happens to be one that I've done. That was the best I've ever done in the past, was on GRT, the graph, due to my timing that I was in it. But what he says is if you put $250 into each of these 5 coins that he releases, that over, and I don't have the exact time frame, I can't remember, but that you'll be bringing in 11,000 per month by the end of this whole thing by having 250 into 5 different coins. This span of time, due to the fact that these institutions will be coming in as well and really launching the prices to these coins, and they're down so low right now.
Let me stop you there, because this is interesting. So, okay, so let's say GRT is one of these. So, does he explain like what that business does? Like, what do they do? What does that coin? What do they do?
GRT, yeah, and I don't have it off the top of my head. I've read it before. It's kind of one of those ones that just sticks. I mean, it doesn't mean a lot to me.
Okay, well, what I'm trying to get at is, what is his theory on? So his theory is that bigger institutions, like other bigger banks or whatever, that want to, earn investment over, they're going to invest in these coins. Is that what he means by bigger institutions?
Mm-hmm.
They're going to invest in these coins, and that will drive the price up. And I guess the other thing too is that I'm really curious about the time frame, because if he's got some sort of, I don't know, really call it insider information, but information that he would get that you and I probably couldn't get, that these bigger institutions were really liking this coin, that could be a short term, like 3 months, 6 months, a year, or whatever. That strategy would work, because it's a short-term strategy. So that's, and so you're looking at probably a year or less. And so what he's saying is that if you put 250 into these 5 coins, because these institutions are going to come into that's going to drive the price up, the supply and demand of this. And if you sell, you'd have to have a strategic sell, right, that you could earn this 11,000, right? I mean, so I just like to really break it down like that, for people, because you hear this all the time in crypto. Oh, okay, if you do this or this, you're going to earn this amount or whatever. Well, in my mind, there is no earning percentage really when you're investing in coins if you're in the long term. But if you break it down and you look and say, okay, I'm going to wait 5 years, or 1 year, and I expect these coins to rise up like 30%, then you can, again, and if they do, and you sell, you have this timing that you sell, and you sell just perfectly at that time, then you can say, oh, I made 100% or 30% on my money. And that's where I have a problem with it, because the odds are pretty good that won't happen exactly like he says it. It might, and it could happen kind of like he says it, but there's so many variables involved in that coin rising, and then you having the perfect timing on selling those coins at that time. And this is why I like DeFi, and that's why I wanted to kind of bring it around there, because it does, there's less variables in a way. There's still a lot of variables, but basically I'm just parking my money in this vehicle that's supposed to stay fairly at this rate of, say, 10% or even the 20% ones, right? And I don't have to worry about really timing, and I also don't have to worry about, is this coin, like if there's some news like GRT, like maybe they get some bad news, right? And something doesn't work, that coin can go down on that news. The DeFi protocols aren't really, that doesn't happen as much. Now it could, because the protocol I'm in could do something bad and they could say, hey, this isn't a good protocol, but I'm not like betting on their coin. I'm not betting on the DeFi protocol that I'm using to get yield on their coin. I'm putting USDC and ETH in there in liquidity, if that makes sense. So I don't care if their coin goes up or not, the DeFi protocol. I'm just using the protocol. Some people actually buy, like they buy the Aave protocol. They buy the coin, excuse me, the token, right? And they hope that Aave does good and it goes up. That's a perfectly good strategy. That's an altcoin, kind of an altcoin strategy in my mind. I don't use it. I use the services of Aave to give me a liquidity and an interest rate. And then I don't have to worry about the token going up and down. So again, it's just, and no way is right or wrong. And there's a million different strategies. I try to keep it really simple. And I look at Bitcoin and Ethereum as long term. I'm not going to worry too much. I may put a couple buy orders in so that when they do go back up, I get a little profit. But even if I didn't do that, I don't really care because it's like gold for me. It's like 10-year kind of a thing. And then I look at interest rates. What's the best interest rate I can get over the long term? And those are my two big strategies. And I do it because it's simpler. I can kind of grasp it in my head, even though getting into some of these DeFi protocols is kind of confusing. And you're bouncing around between networks and wallets, and there's a lot of that. But once you kind of get used to that, the strategy itself is pretty simple. That's why altcoin investing or any sort of coin investing, where how I'll make money is if the coin goes up. That's what it's too much risk for me in that. It's like, and so it's interesting. What I'm trying to do is take the volatile crypto market and take as much risk out of it as I can. So it's not really that volatile. I don't know. That's how I look at it. And I'm in the minority. Not a lot of people look at it like I do.
Yeah. See, that's interesting. And like you said, it has to do. So to me, what like the world of DeFi, and I've done a little bit in there, but that to me seems so risky and scary. But it's because my comfort is in I've had so much time, not so much time, I've had experience to this point investing in these coins. And the one that Tika this is like a 3 to 5 year range, I want to say, a 3 to 5 year range. And he does really break it down. I should have taken notes on it and I can probably come back to it. And he also puts out like buy up to a specific price. So like right now, GRT is at 0.08, and he says buy up to $1.80 or $1.20. I think it's $1.20. And so he kind of breaks it down for you in those ways. If you're and when I got in with what Tika's coins were initially, when I first was getting that through the grapevine, that was Solana, that was Cardano, that was ADA. So they were really good coins early stage, and I did really well with those. And that's what skewed my view of crypto in the first place, because I thought everything was going to start acting like that.
Yeah.
So for me, that's kind of my comfort, where DeFi, when it comes to yield farming and when it comes to, I think there's a lot out there to me that just seems so unfamiliar that I can't distinguish what is, because we have these high levels of, when we get these 20% and things like that, that just scares me, because then I hear the voices of people say, if you don't know where that yield is coming from, you're likely getting that yield from yourself, and it's not going forever. And then I'm like, what is going, but I'm not submerged in it enough to have that experience.
Yeah. And that's the thing. You really do have to know where your yield's coming from, and you have to always be checking it. And the thing is that yields do come from, what's the word? Sort of like false advertising. So newer protocols will bump up the yield to attract you to get into it. And that's why a lot of these really high ones are like that. So you have to have a plan and a system to check it and know, okay, I'm getting into this now at 50%, but tomorrow it could be down to 10. So I better check it. And that's what I do. So you have to know why you're getting these yields, and then just have a plan for it. And so it's interesting because I'm like, kind of Tika's strategy, and though it isn't, is that trader mentality. It's that, buy at this rate, and then you've got a certain profit at this rate. It's kind of that day trader almost mentality, even though it's spread it out over a longer term. And I'm like, oh well, I like DeFi because it doesn't have that trading mentality. You're not really looking at the coin itself to go to this level and then have a buy or sell or a stop loss. It doesn't really work like that. Um, but it's in the same way, you do have to look at it because and know where that yield's coming from, and that's really all it is. And I would say I know how to do the research on how to find these, but I'm still very weary of making my own decisions. So I have other people, that I pay that are, do this, like they're looking at it all day, every day. And so they're saying, here's this one I recommend, and they explain it, and I'm like, okay, that sounds about right, and I'm testing that out. And then someday, hopefully, I'll get to that point where I can be really confident in my research skills and knowing, how safe this protocol is. And even with that, the thing that still scares me about DeFi and really all of it is the hacking, because I can do everything right. I can make all the right decisions and everything, and then I can get hacked. The protocol can get hacked, and my stuff is gone. And so that's the only thing that keeps me up at night with this stuff. So anyways, yeah, I don't know. It's sort of interesting that we verged off into that, but I think it was a fun discussion. And, I think hopefully some people got some interesting ideas out of it. And that's what we try to bring here is different perspectives on crypto. And speaking of that, I just anxious. I want to just show people my metaverse because,
Yeah, let's see it. See it.
let's dive in. Let's dive into my metaverse. All right, let me share my screen here. All right, and pull up. All right, why are you not sharing? Let's see. Oh, that's right. Like stupid me. I don't even have the right. I needed to have my other computer, and I forgot all about that. But let's see. I think I can get in here. Let's see. So the metaverse system that I'm using is called BitCountry, and okay, hold on. Why is my screen not showing? Let's do it this way. All right, there we go. So yeah, it's called BitCountry, and what's cool about this one is that it it's a metaverse platform that allows you to create your own metaverse. So where like Sandbox and Decentralized and some of the other ones, they're their own metaverse, and you can buy land in their metaverse, and you can build on it, but it's really not. It's sort of their metaverse, and they're gonna market it to their thing, and you can kind of have your little space in there, which is fine. This is kind of the same, but basically, I buy land, and instead of just being able to build on this, I can buy as much land as I want, and that becomes my own little metaverse. And I can do a lot of things in there. I can build my 3D community or like mansions or whatever, and people can walk around. Their avatars can walk around, or I can sell land in my metaverse to other people, and then they can build on it. I can also put games in my metaverse. So it's got a gaming engine that kind of is in there. So if I don't know how to program a game, but I could hire somebody to create a game or something, even any smart contract based, contract. So the possibilities are endless, really, that you can do, and I really like that. And it's fairly new. So let me see if I can go into this. I'm not going to be able to show you mine. And it's really funny because it's kind of boring because I don't have anything built on it. But I was going to show people, basically, you can see this square. This is called the Pioneer Map. And in this map is like all the parcels of land. And mine would look like this, basically. And then inside here So I have one of these squares. I bought one of these squares, and in there is 100 like parcels of blocks of land, and those can be divided into estates where I can combine like 5 or 6 or 8 or 10 of these land blocks, or they're just smaller little tiny blocks, and and I can divide them up any way I want to. So I'm trying to figure out now. Like I'm probably going to take 8 by 8 blocks and make an estate, and that's where I'll build my metaverse. That's where I'll build my 3D environment where people can come in and walk around. Then I'm going to have other estates, smaller estates, and then just even land plots, maybe little 2 by 2 estates, and then maybe just little one chunks that I can give away to people, friends or business partners, or I can sell to other people, and that they can build on it too. And I could create my whole metaverse as some sort of theme, and then people could build on it and have to have be part of whatever theme that I wanted to create, or I wouldn't have to create a theme. They could come in and do their own thing. So it's what I like about it is I get to have lots of flexibility, and I'm not really constrained by anything. Now, what I'm using this for is really for branding, and basically it'll be branded in whatever business that I'm moving into, which will be Crypto Cowboy or Cryptoverse or Crypto Heroverse, and in there they can walk around and either buy my courses or take my courses even in the metaverse, and or they can buy NFTs. That's the other thing this platform has is you can create your own NFTs. You can buy other NFTs and put them in here. You can sell NFTs because there's a whole marketplace that people can buy and sell things. So so I know this doesn't really show it. I wanted to let me go back to the now. If I go back to the main page, yeah, this kind of shows you some of the ideas. But basically, you can establish your own brand. And so what I like about it, instead of going to a web page, people go to your metaverse, or they'll go to your 3D metaverse version. And so instead of looking at a website, they're actually in your website as an avatar, walking around inside your website, looking at
Wow.
your different stuff. And so it's kind of a whole new concept. And I don't know how hard it's going to be to build. I can build. There's some voxel based stuff, which Sandbox is all voxel built, which are those little blocky characters. This one you can build in voxels, which is pretty easy. Like anybody, you can kind of drag and drop. But you can, here's your avatar. The avatars are though full 3D avatars. They're not those blocky characters like Sandbox. They're full 3D avatars. And they look a lot better. And you can create full 3D metaverses. You'd have to learn how to build in like a 3D program or whatever, and then you can import those into this. Or you can just build voxels, which is what it's kind of showing now with the little blocks. So it gives you the versatility to kind of not know how to program or create 3D. Or you can, if you know how to do that, you can create 3D stuff that looks really, really good. So these are the estates that I was talking about. So that big, I own like a big square. And I can then divide it up into these littler spots, like it's going to show here in a minute. Like those are estates, those little ones. And so I'll be dividing mine up into little estates like that. And not sure what I'm going to do with it, which is really the fun part of this. And so what have you heard when we had some friends of ours that were in the DeFi Academy that also bought some land? Do you remember what the prices they were going for? Their land?
Oh gosh. Like back when in the summer type of time.
Yeah, well, when ETH was around 4,000, wasn't it? Or 3,500 or something.
Okay,
Because I
so
know that they.
got in on an estate. I got in on an estate that was 18 ETH total. And that's in the sandbox. And I have 2 ETH worth within that. And that was when Ethereum was right at 11 or 1200, 1100, I think.
Oh, okay. So you
But
got.
I know before that, there were people getting in on things when it was higher. ETH was higher.
Yeah. So you got. So you paid 2 ETH for yours?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. And you have two estates then, or just one?
I am in on an estate that's it's 18 ETH. And so I have, and I don't really know, we're just holding it. We aren't
That's
like
right.
taking anything from it and doing anything with it. So we're just holding on to it. We're
So you're
not
not
building
building
on
it.
it.
So yeah. Oh, so this is interesting. This is looking to kind of forming into you're the investor and I'm the builder, which is interesting because really I'm looking strictly into this as a builder. I want to create things and from it, and I this was the thing. Our friend and I actually bought a parcel from our friend also, but I didn't understand what they were doing. I thought I wanted to build on it, and he's like, "Well, you could, but we're really just holding it as an investment." And so I'm like, "Oh, okay." And then I sold it back to him because I wasn't interested in that really at that point. Plus, I needed the funds for something else. So when this came along, so again, this is a whole metaverse, and it's hard to compare. I mean, there's some you could there's what am I trying to say? They have like parcels, or I don't know. You can measure it out, I guess, which is so funny to me because I don't know how that works in the virtual world, like like land, like normal land. And so I don't know as far as size goes, but I got this raw land block for about $1,200. And this near token is the token that you use in there. So I had to convert my fiat into this near protocol, and then that's what I used to buy it. But it basically was about $1,200. And in this, it's a lot of land, like one raw land block. So I can have, well, 100, I guess, blocks are inside this. So I can divide it up, and I'm trying to strategically understand like how I should divide it up, because it's like, should I make one or two big estates and then do with that, or should I create one estate for my metaverse and then sell littler ones? So it's fun to me because this is part of building and creating, learning about this, because I don't understand this world of the metaverse. Like, what does it mean to have two plots of land? Is that like two plots of land in the real world? Can I put a house on it? What if I want to put a swimming pool, in there? Do I need more land? So it's fascinating to me. And then, of course, the whole monetary part. What I love about dealing with the metaverse is that in this world, like if you were to take this, like if you were into gaming, and let's say, and they do this, I think, in Fortnite and maybe Roblox too, where you can actually build your own little games within the game, and you can actually buy, or I don't know if you buy, but you have real estate that you can build a little bit in these games. But it's not like you're actually purchasing the land to do it, or purchasing assets, to do it. Whereas in the metaverse, and again, that's why crypto is so interesting, because everything we do in crypto is based on ownership. I in the work world. I helped build the internet. That's how old I am. Helped building the AOL network, which was really before websites. And when we would create the network, we owned it. Like I worked for AT&T and T and Sprint and all the big networks. And when we would build out the network, we owned the network, and we would just rent it out to people, to use it. Nobody could own the network. Well, this is what's cool about crypto. When you buy a coin in a layer one, when you buy Bitcoin and Ethereum, you own part of the network. It's a crazy concept that probably people don't even understand, but it is the basis of why crypto is so different. Owning part of the infrastructure of a new technology that we all can, not just the big guys like AT&T. That's what this is like. And so where it comes down even more is to even build in this network, in this metaverse, in BitCountry, I had to buy their protocol. Even to like, I had to buy 50 near worth of, to just say I want to have, be part of this. Then when I want to build like a little bit of a tree or a block or a house, I also have to pay to build that. So it's like real world. Like to build a house, you got to buy the lumber and the concrete. In here, if I want to build part of it, I have to buy it with tokens. So I have to have my fiat converted into this near, and also bit, as you can see, is the utility token that when I build something, it burns bit. but I have to buy the bit. Actually, you don't even buy it. You have to stake your near, and then you acquire bit from staking the near. All of that is like, what? Like, I don't even get that, right? But once you do it once, then you understand it, and it's like that makes sense because now I'm learning how to deal with protocols and how to deal with conversions and staking and so by participating in this environment, I'm learning what it's like to participate and be a builder in the crypto world at just a baby level. And what it does is allow anybody, the small guy, to like really be like the big guys in a way, but on a very, very small level. So this, I love to get my hands dirty. So this is a way I can participate in crypto, be a builder at a very small level. I've invested $1,200 dollars to get my land and probably another 500 to build stuff on it. People are spending millions and millions of dollars to create big projects where they're going to have millions of people in there, right? Whatever Sandbox, took to create that whole universe, of Sandbox. So this is what I love, and it allows anyone to get started and learn how to build. And then hopefully once I learn this, I can move on to bigger projects. So I know that I've said multiple times that, I'm trying to not to be too swayed by shiny objects in the crypto world, and I was going to focus on DeFi, and I was, but I just couldn't help myself when this opportunity sort of came up, and I realized I could get in really early. And it's a concept that not a lot of people even know about, that you can own your own metaverse and build and not have to be a millionaire, to do it. And so it's still sort of a hobby on the side, for me, because, but it could turn into, I could build and then sell the whole thing, hopefully, at quite a bit of interest at some point, but I'm really more interested in the building of it. Mm-hmm. So yeah, so next time I'll show, once I really don't have anything to show yet, because I was going to show, I've got a little area where you can build some clunky little things, and it's kind of funny. It's a bunch of blocks with like a palm tree sticking out of a block, stupid stuff, but you got to start somewhere, and that's where I'm starting, is just, building the stupid little things, and then hopefully I'll learn more and more about how to do this. And if I want to, I'll hire, at some point, if I get enough traction, hire somebody to come in and create a game or a smart contract that can help invest and help people learn about crypto, because that's part of my mission, is to help ordinary people learn more and more about this wonderful world that isn't just about investing. There's this whole world out here that is so fun, so exciting. It's the future. So my thing is, let's get more people involved in any way that they can, and we can make money at the same time and have a hell of a lot of fun. So
that's really exciting. Thank you for sharing that. I am a creator and a builder as well, and all I see in this is just imagination and creativity getting put to use, and an outlet for that. And I think, that's something that I think the younger generations really need, who are super social media based, but there's nowhere to put it into their creativity on there, so it can help channel that. And I have a lot of questions, and I'm excited to see the progress of your land. I'm glad you showed us from the ground up. And yeah, I do have a lot of questions, but I also am curious, because you're going to be launching a course within the next month or two. Yeah. Are you planning, we talked about DeFi today, and we talked about the metaverse. Are you planning to implement those within your course, do you think? Or
So yeah, that's interesting. I've been thinking about that a lot, because right now, so I probably will do phases. Yeah, because I really do want to teach people this side of it. Of course, I just, I'm a lifelong learner, and I'm an educator. I've been a corporate trainer for a long time, and I love to research and play, get my hands dirty and whatever. And in my case, it's not really soil, in the earth, but in computers. I've just been very fascinated with all sorts of, areas in computers. And so this is really fun, because it's like this metaphor of building, like getting your hands dirty in the dirt, but it's all, virtual. But it's the same concept, right? I'm just diving in there, playing with stuff, seeing what works. And so I always stay 2 to 3 steps ahead of my students. So, the people that that are in my academy right now, they don't know anything about crypto. They've never bought a Bitcoin. They don't know anything about it, but they're like, I want to know about this. And that's stage 1. So I'm I'm launching the program for newbies, crypto newbies for sure. And I'll just the other thing is I really want to teach them to go slow, to not get it caught up in the hype of the coins and everything, and kind of just use my strategy, which is go slow, stay low, invest little bits until you learn it. And I think one of the things a lot of people are afraid of is like, well, how do I actually buy it? Like, what do I got to do? How do I log in? Well, that's a challenge for some people, connecting their bank account, to their Coinbase wallet and then buying crypto. And they're like, well, where does it go? Where does it live? And how do I transfer it? And then you buy a MetaMask, or you get a MetaMask wallet, and now you start transferring, Bitcoin from one protocol to the other protocol, and things get really crazy pretty quickly. And as you know, one little mistake, you can lose all your crypto, right? So I try to teach people to go really slow and just get them comfortable with it. And so we'll go up to the point where we'll buy Bitcoin, some Ethereum, and then I want to introduce them to DeFi, but at a really low level. So like a crypto savings bank, like a Nexo, or even like maybe a Genesis or something like that. Again, with small amounts at first, and then they kind of dip their toe into maybe one pretty basic yield farm, or maybe just stake some of their ETH. Because again, you can stake Cardano on some of these layer 2 chains and get 6% for just staking it, plopping your money in there in a very simple process. The stage 2 then will probably be an advanced yield farming class where you're doing a lot more risk. You're going to put a lot more money, and you're going to look at a 1 to 5 year time frame with playing around with these interest rates in different protocols, so you can earn the maximum amount. So if you can earn 50 to 70% over 5 years, that's a lot. that can stack up quickly. But you got to watch it. So it's an advanced course. And then as I play with this, if it gets to be something, because I do want to teach about it. So we'll see where this goes. Right now, the metaverse stuff is just it's a hobby thing. But yeah, that's my goal would be to teach it at some point. Again, for newbies. And what's fun about it is that there's a level in this for everybody. It's like when I first was getting really heavy into crypto, my son, who's 30, was into Bitcoin, probably 5 years ago when he was like, 25, and he's a lawyer, so he can really get into some thick stuff, and he knew it pretty heavy, 5 years ago. I didn't know anything about it, but in the last year I've caught up and passed him because he didn't have time, to mess with it anymore. But he kept saying, Dad, it's like, you don't know anything about crypto. It's like, you can't teach people. It's like, he's like, what? Who are you? It's like, you're a nobody, And he was being a little bit nicer than that. But the gist of it is that in his mind, it's like the only thing he was exposed to were crypto protocol creators, the guys that create the code, or $1 million investors, that VC investors that fund $1 million projects. That's kind of what he knew about it. And I'm like, dude, that's not where I'm going. I just want to teach anybody that doesn't know anything about it how to get into Coinbase, because there's so many people that's all they need. They don't need any of the crazy stuff. And so that's how I started. And I realized, and I was right, there are a lot of people that are willing to pay to learn this, and it's obvious because, we did that. We met through, the London Real, and there's room for everybody because there's room for all different levels. Like probably programmers and people that, that have been into crypto for 10 years probably aren't watching this show, because, that's not at the level we work in. And so there's just room for everybody. So that's why I'm so bullish on crypto, because it's vast. It's you could never learn it all. And the metaverse NFT thing is fun, but it's also an investment. So there's people that just flip NFTs, right? And they use that strictly as an investment. But you don't have to. You can just play around in it. And
right.
And have it as an investment. So it's just, I love that whole concept of it. And and if you just strictly want to invest in coins like you would the stock market, awesome. That you can do that. So there's just levels for everybody. So yeah, that's what I love about it.
It's so true too. Even through this time, I would take myself back. Like I said, I've kind of been reminiscing over the last day of my journey. But a year ago, when I was just seeing the word NFT, just seeing the word DeFi and being like, what is this? And it doesn't matter. Like no amount of just reading information on it would allow anybody to experience it until you're like in it, and like your enthusiasm behind your metaverse, and that's super exciting. And BitCountry, and you know that there's people building and creating everywhere. You know, Alluvium is one that draws me so in
Yeah.
personally. I'm really drawn to that one. And there's it's all, and that's when you kind of do, you forget about the market because you're just so heavily invested. There's so much enthusiasm. And it's just really cool. It's cool to see people of all ages and
Yeah.
of all, you know, from everywhere on the around the world have the opportunity for one, and just have this excitement about something that's so new and an outlet for imagination and creativity. Super exciting. I Do you know? It's just this one question. Do you know, with your metaverse, do you have to be in BitCountry to go into your metaverse, or
No.
kind of when you said it was like your would be like kind of like going into your website, like they almost just have
Yeah.
a link. People just have a
Yeah.
link and then you go right
Yeah.
in.
Yeah.
And
That's the beauty of it.
where does avatar come from? So then, is their avatar something that they would just have like on the in their open metaverse, like their NFT that they can take around with them to different metaverses, or do we know the answer to that yet?
Don't know exact answer to that. I think that's the goal, of all of sort of the metaverse, and is that you'll have your one avatar that will be an NFT that you can take into different metaverses. Now, it is interesting because I don't think that that's the reality yet. So the way I think it works here in BitCountry, and again, I'm just still pretty darn new to this. I had to wait a while to get the land, and that was the whole other fun thing was I had to go to an auction, and I had to stay up till like 2 a.m, because that's when the auction was going to end, and it was a 7-day auction, and so I just sat there, and it was like in the last 15 to 30 minutes there was some active bidding going on. I'm like, oh, am I going to get one? And I kept bidding on different things, and I wasn't sure I was, and when I did, I was just so excited because I'd never done that before. Anyways, so you have a link, and when you come into BitCountry, it just spawns a generic avatar, just something that can walk around. And so as I build this a little bit and get access to this, I'll come on and I'll show the screen, and you'll see like if somebody comes in, they're just this like generic avatar, but you can use that now to walk around. So you're still in that 3D world, but you can walk around in it. And then the next level would be, if let's say people, I got to my metaverse to the point where it was fun to be in and people wanted to come back to it, they could then build their own avatar inside of BitCountry or my metaverse or whatever. So then if they wanted to come in, every time they came in, they could be their own unique avatar. And so then what's interesting is, again, since the whole ecosystem is built on ownership, you would own that. You would pay, it'd probably be, the cool thing about BitCountry is they're keeping the price really low because they want people like me and anyone else that wants to innovate and to build. So the prices are pretty low. So it's like, it'd probably be pennies or, something like that but you would literally pay for that, and now it's yours. And it's your NFT, it's your avatar, and you can customize it in any way you want. And then eventually you should be able to then port that somewhere else. And so I'm looking into all that too, because there's a third party system program or whatever that I did create an avatar, and it was meant for just creating avatars that you could move into other areas. So I'm thinking that I can move that avatar into my BitCountry because it's more detailed. It's than what BitCountry has. Although I think their avatars are actually really pretty good. They're very 3D, the way you can build them. But again, like my avatar is still generic, so I haven't even outfitted it. But I can, and it's still so new that there was like 3 outfits or 1 outfit really, and I had to pay in bit to get a coat or to get a hat. Right now it's just this naked 3D thing running around, and it's really strange. But now that I have land and I think more people are creating these, then I can buy, a coat and cool shirts and hats and stuff like that. So as it builds up, and this, they're at the very beginning. This is, they've been around a couple of years, but they've been just building. And literally I kind of lucked out and found out about this at the very beginning, when people were just getting this land. So if anybody's interested right now on BitCountry, They're doing these land auctions, and they had 10 of them for 7 days when I got in last week, and I had to wait like 7 days to do this. They decided that was not working as good, so now they're doing 48-hour bids. So there's two blocks of land that are in an auction that you can bid on for 48 hours, and then they'll do that again. I think for maybe 4 or 5 weeks, and then it'll be done. For this version. Then they've got multiple new versions. Because this is still the whole thing is still a test network, was what they're saying. I mean, they got grand plans in the future to be really a big deal. So we'll just see where that goes. So yeah,
And that's
so yeah,
directly BitCountry. That's not through OpenSea or anything like that. Like that's directly through
no,
BitCountry.
yeah, and so they have their own marketplace. You can create your NFTs in there. Literally by like you can take a picture and just upload it into that, and it'll create an NFT, a real NFT out of it, and it's on the blockchain. And you can then sell that to somebody outside of BitCountry, or it has its own marketplace in there. I can have my own marketplace, so just in my little metaverse, I'll have my own marketplace that I can buy and sell. That will in there, or I can use the greater Bitcoin or Bitcoin BitCountry marketplace too. So there's a lot of options now, and it's still at the very very beginning. So
Oh, that's really good to know because I do have some NFT. I want to create a couple NFT projects, and I'm not a fan of OpenSea. So I just don't. I haven't liked it up to this point. Um, but it looks like you're having some success. It's nice to see that someone's gone through. You've gone through it and it's been successful. You have the land. It looks like it's really high quality with their avatars and all of that. So super exciting. Yeah, I'm gonna have to look into
yeah,
that myself.
yeah, and the next level too, because NFTs go so well with the metaverse. And again, in here, a lot of it right now are the NFTs are each object that I use to build, like a tree or a lamp or something like that, is its own NFT. And so that's typically what this universe is. Although people can bring in any sort of NFT and buy and sell it in here, but it's really not meant for that. But I also, because it got me looking at NFTs too, and I have some ideas for just straight NFTs. And again, we'll talk about it another time. But what I really find fascinating is this generative art thing. Again, and the whole thing, the way the apes was, and a lot of them now, it's you as the artist create a basic version of an ape, let's say, and then you create a scarf and a hat and a pipe and whatever, and each of those are like separate files, and then you run them to a program that then creates all the iterations of the apes randomly from this program, right? And that's how you got all the versions of apes. And then you program in there and say, okay, I want 5% of these to be unique and have the cigar. I want, 20% of them to have, a yellow hat. And 1% to have like a gold star on their lapel. And then the program does it randomly. And then it spits them out. And that's how you have the rarities. So you programmed in, I only want 1% of them to have a gold star. And when it pops out, that one is the most rare. Well, it doesn't mean anything other than what you say. And if you say, look, these are all on sale, and there's only one of them out of 10,000 that has this cool thing, and then the market creates itself, and then somebody pays $1 million for that one with the gold star because it's rare. And I just find that whole concept again fascinating. The market's just created, but it's a computer that generated it. So the artist didn't have to create this fancy work of art that's wonderful. Although you can do that as an NFT, you can create basic stuff, throw it into a program, and it'll create the 10,000 versions of them. So it's not like you have to create 10,000 of them. So that's a whole nother amazing thing that, again, I'm kind of looking into because I have time and it's fun. But, I'm trying to pick and choose some of, my time because that's a whole nother thing. But how cool is that you can use computer AI to help you generate and create these NFTs? I don't know. That's a whole nother.
Yeah, the generative art thing is so cool, and I have a lot of people saying that that's the next NFT craze. There was one that was around for a while that someone told me about that was crystals, and they grow. It's an NFT that grows within the wallets that they transfer to.
Nice.
And so whoever buys the crystal from somebody else, then it grows into a specific way, dependent
Oh, wow.
on what's in your wallet, and then it
Oh,
grows
really?
and grows as it goes through. But what was happening is there were people, like the whole point of it was to buy it, have it grow, sell it, but everybody just started holding them and not selling them.
Yeah.
So it kind of, and
See,
I think
that's so
kind of
fascinating to me. A
cool.
crystal that will grow in your wallet. So it's all a smart contract. That's the thing. When we start talking at this basic level, you learn about smart contracts on the Ethereum network. What does that even mean? It means you can create a program that creates a crystal that will uniquely grow based on what it finds in its wallet. How freaking cool is that? And that's what a smart contract is. And that's what NFTs are. And this is why when people, they don't get it or they think it's just crazy, stupid art. No, it's cool stuff like this. And this is just the beginning. This is just the beginning. NFTs, and really, I don't know if it's really an NFT or the smart contract or what do you want to call it, but the engine behind this is going to change the world because it's all tied to value. You have to own it, but the smart contract allows new things that we haven't even thought of. A crystal that is like an NFT. It's probably it's like a 3D object or a an MOV. I mean, I'm talking about the specifics here. You know, and it can get fed information from a smart contract that then changes that. So now that I don't know what if it's a movie or a 3D object or something, but obviously it would look different, right? Maybe it's just a JPEG that can get automated and now it's one version, now it's a different JPEG and it looks like this, but it's based on the smart contract. That's cool. I got to look into that. You got to send me what that project is because
I will. I have to
stuff
look at
like
the
that
name of
is
it. I'll
just
send it to
amazing.
you. And NFTs, like you said, they're going to change the world. And what they do is they provide us with personal ownership over our data. And it's beyond the
Yeah.
artwork, and it's beyond the really cool games and the fun that you can have in those ways and flipping it and the investment part of it. It's also they're created as well to be able to allow us as individuals to have the rights over our own personal data. And it's something
Yeah.
that a lot of us don't realize. I know I didn't realize it for the longest time, how valuable data is. It's actually the most valuable asset that there is on the world, in the
Oh yeah.
world. And that's why, we have Facebook and people selling our data and farming us for our data. And what NFTs allow us to do is take ownership over, they say our medical records will be on the blockchain, and that's going to be hopefully under our ownership. And everything will be our ownership in an NFT form that belongs to us and rightfully belongs to us. And so we're hardly scratching the surface with NFTs. They're so new and
Yeah, you know
super
what I want to do? I want to start bringing into the show. It's like instead of just talking about it, I want to show people. Because I think that's part of the fear is people hear all sorts of stuff, but someday I want to come in and create because I do this in my class, but it'd be easy to do it here too. Like have I wouldn't have my personal wallet, but have a test wallet or something like that, and show people like what does it mean to buy an NFT, and show them in my MetaMask wallet how you buy it and then how it shows up. And it looks like this generic stupid thing you don't get it, but behind it is all this magic that can happen that you don't really even see because the smart contracts work. But it's just the human imagination with the technology and the creative coding and the fact that you put ownership on all of it. Underlying all of these things is this ownership, which I don't know if people understand. You just trying to explain it. How important this is the mind shift or the paradigm shift of Web 2 to Web 3 ownership, and it comes down to that. And it's that simple little thing that changes everything. It's what allows crypto to be crypto, the blockchain to be what it is, and why some people say, I don't get it. Man, if you just say it's about ownership. And of course, they won't get that because it's like, well, what does that mean? But that really is it in my mind.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. And so, yeah, just to show people too, because I think a lot of people are like, well, if they've never done it? And I think a lot of people that watch YouTube videos, you know, you've got to you hear a lot of stuff. Let me put it that way, And so we'll see. We'll show some people. I'll send you some Bitcoin, and we'll look at our wallets as we or something like that. I don't know.
I'm totally up for
If
that. Yeah,
y'all
we
if
should
y'all
do
want
that.
that, let us know. if you
Yeah,
think that
let
would
us
be
know.
fun.
Yeah, that would be fun. I absolutely agree. We should do that. And I still haven't shown my NFT, and we can do some of that. I don't know, maybe in the next
Yeah.
week or two.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. Well, we're running over as usual. We ran way over today. Wow. Hardly talked about news today. We totally rambled today, which was good.
It was
Hopefully, it
good.
was
Yeah.
good.
What we talked about was more important than the articles that I was going to share. So
Totally.
I'm happy it went this way. And I'm happy to see your metaverse. That's so exciting. I'm amped right now on
Yeah.
it. Truly.
All right. Well,
I'm
I'll get you in there. You can. I'll get you some land. We'll get you some land
okay.
in my metaverse. All right. Yeah, that's what it'd be. Purified People Village or Purified People Lodge or something.
It'll be nice and relaxing and zened out, I promise.
There you go. All right. Look forward to that. All right, everybody. Thanks. We're gonna sign out of here, and until next time, keep talking crypto. All right. See you, everybody. I
Bye,
don't even
guys.
have my outro anymore. I just got to hang up on people. Well, I got to get my outro fixed up. The file's gone. I went to play it. It's like file not found. I'm like, must have been the metaverse ate it. Bye,
Well,
everybody.
cheers. Cheers, everyone.
Cheers.